Today, I'm getting ready to do some little minor maintenance ready for my MOT. The first of which is realistically just cleaning up the throttle here at the top here. It was a bit sticky, so what I've done is, because if the throttle return is a little bit slow, which as you can see, I'll show you in a second, is here. We need to sort that out, and for that I'm just going to lube up the cabling. But you can see here, once it's straightened out, it's actually anything but on rotation, it's a little bit stiff. Again, if I turn it right the way around here, it turns back beautifully. So it's just in this one position, it's a little bit stiff. So I'd like to take a look at that. The other thing to take a look at is the exhausts here have been shortened. They actually sound fantastic. My problem is it's getting a little bit noisy and my neighbours love me. So to make everyone a bit happier, I've actually picked these up of eBay, which are bolted as a straight-on replacement. So you can see they're only 6 inches longer. See the difference here? Now I'm looking at fitting these, but before I do, this one in particular has one bolt that needs to be drilled out and then obviously cleaned up. So that's not going to happen today, but I wanted to kind of have a look here and see, am I happy with the colour scheme and the look of them? I actually don't mind it, I think. It's going to make chain maintenance perhaps a little bit more awkward, especially around the other side, but realistically it's not a huge deal because this one's already quite badly scuffed up, where obviously before me someone's knocked it about, and so this one's actually for the other side, but you get the impression. I think a good clean up of this and then mounting those is actually going to go a long way to making this bike look a lot better. So you can see here with the bars straight, pull the throttle back, returns perfectly. If I pull that in and then pull back, the throttle return is slow. And that's just a little bit of drag on the cabling. Now what I did the other day is I moved this from underneath mounted to over the top, because by moving it from the top, I've made this bend a little bit less severe, because when it's coming up underneath it's a bit tight. So in this position here it's quite tight. As soon as you straighten out, see, immediately return. So I'm just going to give that a little lube up by pushing some lube down here, and I'll sort that out. What I should probably do is take this off and throttle, give this whole cable section here a lube. So I'm going to give that a try first. The problem you may see is this position here knocks the bars. So what knocks the brake pedal here, brake lever. So to get this fully out, I'm going to have to shove this down a little bit. Now that bolts out, you can see that this just separates part here, little spacer inside, and that will clip off and come round. So what I want to be able to do is, I think it's the return. The actual throttle puller is not a problem. I think this is the one that's a bit stiff. And I've actually looked at this adjuster, and it's a bit rotten, so I'm going to take that off and see how we get on. So what we're trying to do is unscrew that at the moment to allow access. You can see the actual cable is all looking quite decent. There's nothing in the cable itself that strikes me as odd. I think it just needs a little bit of lube. But you can see here that's kind of rusted solid, so I'm going to try and unbolt that and go. All we need to do this is just this little throttle lube assistant applicator thing. And all we do is we clamp the cable in around the nozzle there, so it goes down the little tube line. You see there's a little hole there that we squirt our GT85 through with the nozzle. So that slots into there, and that pushes lube down here and down into this cable. Alright, that's coming out a bit. So what I'll do to avoid spilling that everywhere, I'm going to get the cloth, see if any of that actually worked, because it doesn't feel like it. So far what I've learned is this wasn't really doing a great job. I think squirting the tube down and then just doing it myself seems to be actually more effective. Might be a bit slower, but it does seem more effective. as I mentioned at the beginning, throttle tube returns back. This is the last of my MIT readiness work, because without a throttle tube returning, that's classified as a dangerous action, because you could be driving along, could be riding along, the throttle could be fully engaged, you go to slack it off to go to brakes and the throttle's jammed open. It is one of those MIT failure things that you've got to really check. Now you can saw it only took me 5 minutes or so just to take that apart, simple Allen key, lube it up. Don't even need that fancy tool because apparently it didn't really like it. I actually did it slowly and it worked a treat, but that's that. We have now an MIT compliant motorcycle. So just a quick overview what I check for the MIT. From my point of view, I always check tyre thread and gauge to make sure the tyres aren't looking too bad. It takes 5 minutes just to rotate that through. Obviously I check all my oil because that's part of my daily routine anyway. Check tyre pressures. Check for pad wear and that the discs aren't looking too bad. They're all looking at a decent thickness. And you can see there's no wear marks on the front and rear. Check my brakes are good. I go around, I check all my lights, I check my indicators all work. And of course the big one is to check your horn still works, because you will fail on that. That means this should be able to go through its MOT next month. And I can now move on to some more cosmetic work.